Hey, welcome back. So we've got our 3-point bird's eye view at about 50 degrees or so, looking down steep. And we're going to now turn some of these objects into speeders from the indoor chase scene in Star Wars. So a couple things that we're going to do here that I'll talk to you about is that I've got too many. Now, the point of the first lecture was to get used to the mechanics of three-point perspective, to talk about setting it up and looking at our point of view and the degree of point of view just roughly and casually, and then get used to the mechanics and some of the distortion that happens. Now what I'd like to talk about is compositional adjustment and changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in a little bit, and what we're going to talk about just briefly is differences of, or where we can actually edit forms out in a way. So they don't sit too far off the ground, so some of these may be a little high, so maybe we can eliminate the ones in the air and maybe focus on just 3 of these that we can do for a composition and make that look, or 3 or 4 maybe, and I'll just see. So I'm going to wing it a little bit here, and I'll add a new layer so we can have a layer to draw on and off of our original. So if you're using, again, you're not using a Cintiq, that's fine. Use tracing paper or just draw right on your study, even I think better. So I know I want for sure I'm going to use this one, so I'll kind of mark it. I'll use for now this one here. Can we see that? Make sure we get our brush. There we go. Okay, so this one for sure. I'll just put a little check by it, and I can take it out in a moment. That one, and then maybe the 2 to the left of it, maybe over here. That might be fun to have this too. And then the rest I might eliminate. I might use maybe one more down here, but I'll not use the ones a little bit higher. So you can give yourself, when you're drawing, you can give yourself lots of options to work with, more so than you need, and then not use them and only need what you have compositionally. So keep that in mind. That's kind of something I think that you might not be aware of. All right, so I'll take my nib down a little bit to maybe 12. Let's see how that'll work out. And then I'm going to bump up our composition a little bit, and we'll start in with our first one. So we'll work with these 3 for sure, and then maybe 1 down here. And so we'll make maybe 1 or 2 coming at us or away from the vanishing point, and maybe 1 coming towards us a little bit too as well. So I think maybe I'll start with this one, and I think I'll make it coming towards us a little bit. So let's really get in here deep so we can start to see what we have and work with. So I've got some reference material I'll throw up to show you what I'm using to draw with a little bit, and work this composition. All right, so that's coming up now, and if we're going to make it come towards us, I better make this feel like that's going to get rid of that layer. That's got a little room, extra room in through here. All right, so we're ready to roll here. We've got 3-point perspective, so we've got 3 places we want to go to within our sketch and our composition. I'm just going to kind of start in through here, so it's got that extra sort of head that comes out. So I'm going to draw kind of through the center here as we're coming out in our composition. That goes back to the right vanishing point. So we've got that. So that'll come out a little bit further, which comes off kind of the side a little bit too as well. So we might shave this down a little bit too. So we might come down and through. So I'm starting in the back region of it, and we're just going to start to sketch our composition through and see what we can kind of come up with in our drawing as well. Just see what happens. This is kind of that side sort of pad in through here, and it's on the other side. We may or may not see it. So we've got this that comes down and through like so. So we'll get a kind of broad feeling for it coming across and through here. And so that's got some kind of raised little back and through their bang composition. It comes up a little higher and then over like so. So I'm just kind of starting to feel my way through the form. We're a little bit above, eye level, looking down. In this case, well, we're quite a bit actually. We're just in 3-point perspective, so we're coming across here a little bit. And we've got some of this stuff in the back and through here, and this kind of comes down. And then we start to get to what could be now the seat. We could call this thing the seat of it a little bit in through here. So that comes up a little bit, right in through here. And I'm going to take it over to my vanishing point really quickly, just sketchily take it up and through. So that's kind of where it sits in. It's not very high, raised seat, back and over and through. I like to keep that pin nib really broad, and so I don't get an incisive kind of line in the beginning. I like to keep it very, very loose and gestural and keep a light stroke. And then when I want to come back, I can add to it and then have something really kind of definitive, later on. So we'll move that over a little bit, and then we'll come down and in. Whoops, got that back. Okay, catch it over. So we're working on the seat of our speeder in through here. It's down and through, kind of nice little extra padding. So about right in through here where it sits. So you really have to kind of know where you're at all times. I tell my students in figure drawing, structural drawing perspective tells you where you're at all the time. So you kind of have to know where you're at, structurally in your composition. And that's why we take the pains, to do it, to really work on structure and composition, but in perspective together to really push them into an enhanced quality of our understanding. So let me come down a little bit there, and then we'll go over and start to see this a little further. So on these, they generally have kind of in the back here, sort of like some cloth. We might cut that off just a little bit and shorten that up. And they've got some kind of knapsack kind of things for cloth and bedding if they camp out in this forest kind of planet or section of the planet that they're on. So that might look like something like that coming in and through here. Okay, so they have their seat through there, so we're coming through. All right, so we have this side that tends to come up and over a little bit. So let's see, kind of up and through, like so. Kind of like that, thinking through. This comes up and over. And this kind of comes over through to the center. So I'm thinking about how it curves now, and then it curves and turns like this, and this is coming over this side, right in through here. This starts to curve. Here's our center point right about in through here. So this is going to come over in through here, like so. Keep sketching it through. So we have that. And then it starts to take, we'll add extra to it. It starts to take a little bit of an angle downward. And so I'm going to try to, adjust my sketch, find my center, come through in here, down through like this. Okay, kind of feel where it might hit this center point in through here, right through there. Feels pretty good. And I'll come around and over, and it turns that way and through, and it comes back on the side. It's kind of like a mouth, isn't it? So you can see I'm using a different side view. So, you know, you have to be able to imagine all this stuff in your head, but I wanted to show you, you might not always have the view that you want. So you take what you know about drawing, you start to learn from it, and you use maybe reference photos that are in a different position, and you sketch from it from the opposite position. That might seem like a living nightmare, and it might have been to me, you know, when I was first starting out. But you just start to get a reference for it and a structure point, and you can start to locate these things. And you don't have to be, you know, I'm not asking anybody, and myself actually, to be totally exact. That's not really what the lesson is about. It's about using structure and perspective in more of a, slightly right now, a little bit more casual kind of way. These kind of come down a little bit and slant, so we can kind of feel our way through that in just a little bit, I think. Through here. So we come over in through. This kind of has a line, a little thinner line right in through there, I see. Right in through here. Make that a little darker, and it kind of comes down and through to get to those back engine point. And so there's a lot of kind of engine, you know, exposed as we start to go, you know, kind of go forward like so. And through here. And then this thing opens up kind of like a mouth. So kind of from this side over, it opens up like a mouth, so it can have this kind of blaster thing going on and over and through here. And so it kind of ends where it kind of looks like an open dinosaur mouth, like a T-Rex mouth. It's the only thing I can really think of to relate to it, maybe a fish mouth. So it has that right moving through here in that direction. And so it kind of opens up and through like so. And over. Now I could have flipped this photograph, right? But I didn't really want to, didn't really care to, because I wanted you to see it and how artists can think through this and do a pretty good job without having to have it perfect. You can use your imagination and use perspective and structure and your understanding of, in this case, 3.2, guide you along and add to that. All right, so we're starting to get a feel for it this way. Now we'll come down over in this range on the side of it, where it kind of flaps and it ends sort of maybe a little bit longer right in through there, right in maybe like that. Then it comes back in a little bit, gets a little thinner over in through here. It's got all the guts that start to show through on this side. Can darken that in a little. Over and through here, and I'll get to some of that detail maybe in a minute. It's not that important right now structurally. This kind of comes through here. So that's going to be all over in that area. Okay. So down below here, kind of underneath this point, we have an area where it has kind of another engine kind of going in below that, right in through here. So we'll start to feel that ellipse about right in through there. As it's connected and kind of underneath. It goes underneath, doesn't it? Feel that a little bit. So we'll hit that ellipse underneath here. What a great exercise this to really exercise your brain. It really is quite a challenge. This seems to need to want to go out a little bit further, right in through there. There we go. Let me see if I can erase back a little bit. Oh, a little too much. Maybe right in through here. I don't really care for that. I'll take that back a little bit. There we go. Okay. Maybe this needs to come out a little bit more, so I'll take that out through here. There we go. And then I'll It's like a little bit deeper and wider. There we go. I like that better. Don't be afraid to adjust if you need to. I don't erase often, but that was one time, since I already had a darker line, I went ahead and erased. All right, so we're working on this kind of engine down in through here, this kind of airplane engine. It's tapered in just a little bit, goes back this way, doesn't it? We see that a little bit, that coming in there, and kind of ends off in through there, and it's got some kind of exhaust. Maybe I'll bump up my opacity a little bit, and we'll go in a little deeper so we can see that. Move it over a little bit so you can see that. There we go. And so it's got like a little nozzle thing that comes over and in and hooks over. I love all the made-up mechanical parts. Some of the vehicles are my favorites in some of these Star Wars films. And through here, this is nice concentric ellipses in through here. And you can think about, they're hard to get detail in without with going pretty as fast as we are in through there. So we've got some of that gear, and again every time, you know, I'm not really using my one of my 3 vanishing points with that kind of stuff, but everything else is kind of implied, isn't it? It's coming through all this detail. So I know when I'm moving left or I'm moving right or I'm moving up or down, I'm using one of my vanishing points, my left, my right, or my vertical vanishing point, right? So just make sure that that's a staple of you know, what we're doing here. Very important to continue to enhance our understanding in a sketchier, you know, kind of way. We're sketching. We're not doing super technical drawings. We're doing illustrations to see that. So let's pull out and see how we're doing. Okay, pretty good so far. And so we'll pull back in, yeah, like so. Okay, we'll keep on going here. Like through and through here, and then we'll start to see some gear coming through. Now I'm going to go back and adjust these lines in through here that I drew. As a matter of fact, I'll probably erase them since I don't want to confuse you. All this in through here. See what I'm taking out? So I was just sketching them through, but I really want to use it since I see them maybe as just true verticals. I want to go back to my vertical vanishing point since we're in 3-point perspective, so as to not be too confusing. Now, do you see that red line right there? That's a guideline for me. So I don't necessarily see my vanishing point, my vertical vanishing point, but I can use it. See how I can start to make these lines for this mechanical garbage or whatever, not garbage, but just stuffs, whatever it is. And so I can use those guidelines to help me, because that's kind of what the photograph is giving us anyway, but it's also saying, you know, that's where my perspective. So I adjusted that so we could really get a better feel for what was happening through there. So we want to make sure that everything that we do in our composition is geared towards understanding, you know, our perspective situation, our understanding of perspective. How about that? Okay. All right, so let's pull back out. Let's take a look. Okay, that's going pretty well, I think. All right, so maybe we want to put some of the feet pedal down a little bit so we can start to see, you know, what's going on with that. And there's kind of a dashboard too here, about right there, and I can start to get in where some of those controls, they just come up. Remember, they're going to come up. I'm going to just illustrate them. They're going to come up. I'll put 5 or 6, whatever these are, speeds and different gadgets and controls. You know, they're going to come through that vertical vanishing point. So they're not necessarily straight, you know, vertical. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful in that sense. You know of what's going on there. So I'll do a little spritzy shading in there to get that located. And again, like the others we've done, I mean, you can take these and, man, you can really go super tight. You could do extra layers on top and trace and get these really crisp. We're just doing some some quicker, relatively quicker sketches. Still hope you find it fun and interesting, as I do. Okay, so we have that. So now let's see. Let's get that, like I said, the foot pedal in a little bit. So I'll go deeper in, and we'll pull up a little bit to have enough room. And so let's see how they orient themselves. So they kind of come out underneath the body a little bit, and then they angle downward. So here's kind of how I see it. I'm going to the left vanishing point. They're kind of in the midway point of the seat, aren't they? And then maybe slightly back. So kind of out like this. I'll draw some just guidelines, kind of like so, to help me come out. And of course I'm reversing it a little bit, and we'll come down like so. They come about, maybe a little bit back a little bit further. And we'll do two of them. So maybe back a little bit and down this way. And then they're going to go back to the left vanishing point. So I use this blue line in the middle right in through here as a guide when I'm going back to the vanishing point, since I can't pull my ruler all the way through. Right in through there. So we have this axle of our gear shift, right, if you will, coming down. Take care of all that. Okay. And so now we're going to build that pedal on top, and it kind of leans at an angle. So I'm just going to, again, just guesstimate through that, and I'll bring you a little deeper and closer so you can really see it. And through here, so I'll start with a foot pedal about right here, and it's kind of just a rectangle, isn't it, where the foot would rest. And of course that operates, I guess, like a regular motorcycle pedal of some sort, a foot pedal where you pedal down a little bit or push down on it. Boy, oh boy, I wish these things really existed. That would be some kind of fun, I think. I think they would be pretty popular. So I'm going to kind of just put another little platform in through here. It's kind of just pipes and metal and things. So I'm just going to come sketch in through here. And this actually might get filled in a little bit, right? Maybe. So in through here, the foot pedal, in through here, like so. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So there's that pedal. It's got a little extra, maybe coming down like so. That's at a different angle than our vanishing point. So we'll just kind of fill that in. And maybe there's a couple of extra little guidelines coming through. I'll put a little extra through there. So there's where our foot pedal is, right in through there. So let's pull out and see that. Okay. So we probably won't see that on the other side of our composition, so we won't have to put that in. But if we did, it would look something like, we would come across it something like that. See that black line coming through? It would come across kind of like that. Now I'm going to put a rider on there later. So I'm going to get my speeders in, and I'm going to put riders on a little bit later too as well. Okay. All right, so let's see. So we've got a majority of what we need, but then we need to come out further with it, right? And because we're going to see a little bit, or a lot of bit of this gun and this stuff coming up from the mouth a little bit. So let's do this. Let's go here, and we'll pull a little bit over, and can we go in a little bit to see better? Okay. And it looks like that distance, in perspective, it's going to be a little bit longer, but really I'd better pull out, because the length of the gun, the blasters in the front part are terribly long. They're almost as long as the actual speeder vehicle, right? So they come out even further than you think, maybe right in through there. So we could extend that out in perspective a little bit more. Right in through there. So it kind of attaches over to the side, doesn't it? Like about right there. There's some kind of attachment where it comes in. This is where I'll use my ruler. In through here. So just to get a sketchy feel for it. The other one's going to be, we'll go back to, I would end there, so we go back. I'm going to put an arrow to show you. Everything has got to go back that way for the left, right? Okay. So we have that, and then it gets a little, maybe there's an underneath one that gets a little thicker in through here, kind of an ellipse that comes in. Some nice piping. These things are really, the design of these are so amazingly inventive. It really is an amazing job they did for sure. Through there, and then there's a another little gun thing, isn't there, underneath that comes off kind of the side in through here, doesn't it? Right in through here, and it kind of comes down. And then we go back to the right vanishing point. There's enough guides. Look at the guide here for a line. Other lines you can find just to help you get your perspective, close to accurate. And they come out. This gun comes out maybe to about that far, a little blaster, like so. And then we'll just make a tonal thickness. I'll add a little extra line or two to make it a little thick there. So we have a blaster, and it's got some extra gadgets. So there's some thickness there. So I would not want to get in the way of that thing. And it kind of comes in over and doesn't it? So it's like a mouth kind of opening on and through. And then there's some kind of thing that comes out of the side. I'm going to add in. You can draw along with me or not. Just watching along. That's cool. But drawing is better. I want you to draw. I learned a lot in draw with my professors when I was a student. It's a fantastic experience. So I'm just going to tone this down a little bit into here. Okay. It's kind of like an Eames chair at the top. Not really, but kind of a little. Okay, so we have that right in through there. So now I'm going to get the head of this flying apparatus in the very front. Now the other side of this, if we go back in perspective, here to here, would come out. And there might be even a blaster even on the other side of it, like so. So it would come out down below. You may not see it. So I'm going to put 2 of all this. This is where all this might come out on the other side, and I'm going to just project back to my vanishing point and think this is where it might come out right in there too. So it's like a series of planes, right, in perspective. Keep that in mind. So we're just going to tube these off, sort of tube these off a little bit and get a little darker with our lines here, in here. And this would have a long way to go for a ton of detail, but I think right now we're doing fine. Again, the main point is perspective and sketching, and hopefully some fun too as well. All right, so we come through there. We have that. We have one side to the other. I might emphasize that and put the other cable type steel structure in through there, and then maybe another one to catch it all the way through there. So they're coming through there, right? So we've got that, and we'll come around with a darker line to show that, kind of that mouth looking apparati, right? Okay, so let me pull over. Let's pull this over a little bit and go. Let me go too deep because I don't want to make it. I want to have a reference guide for the rest of it in through here. Okay, so let's see if I can approximate this headstock of what this blaster end. It's probably probably like a rudder too as well. So I'm just going to throw down some projection lines from some of our blasters here as just a helper. And on the other side, it might be about right here, I'm guessing, out. Just so width and thickness as they come down. Because they kind of come down, let's see, in, don't they? They kind of come down like this way. And they cover up a little bit. So I'm thinking the angle is like that. So you probably have no idea what I'm thinking yet. I know. Here we go. So like that. And then their thickness is out through, let's say, I'm going to say here. I'm going to make this dark so you can see it since it's important. So this one comes down longer than, okay? And this one comes in. These are not left vanishing point angles, by the way. So make sure we know that. So they come in through here. All right. And so that back comes up. So I have to think backwards. So it's really pretty challenging assignment. project right now through here. Makes you really think through space. Then we come up like so, right? And then it wants to curve in. So let me take my eraser in through here and let me erase that line a little bit. Take that out. There we go. And let's go back. So it comes down and then it curves, doesn't it? It comes down and then it curves. It wants to curve like so and come in to that point, and then it comes down and on in, kind of like that, I think. Okay. So we have that. And then what I could do is I could just take my eraser to, well, I don't want to erase too much. I want you to see all the structure. It's actually important. So in through here. And then it has a down flap. It comes in, down flaps in through here. I'm on this side rudder. I'm going to call it a rudder structure for now. It might be something different. It's okay. Through here. And it comes out. Now it's kind of a curve on the way back over, isn't it? So it kind of curves in and it shelters inside that hub a little bit like so. I'm going to shade that down just a hair. In through here. Now if we go back to, I'll pull out a little bit. It feels pretty good. If I go back to the vanishing point further, I'm going to line that up and show you. Now this definitely goes back to the vanishing point that way, so we can get the edge or the end of that. And so that's the point I'm going to say about right there where it sits down on the other side and then comes back on in like so. So you might see this top and it might come down like that and then curve down, and we would see that and over. So lastly, they've got that big kind of mechanical spearhead looking object that's coming out of it, kind of going down from the center. So remember the center was way back over here, and I'm going to recapture it and come down, and it's a little bit lower. And so I'm going to bring it back, feel back to my vertical vanishing point. So if it comes down, maybe right in through there is my center. And so I'm just going to take some lines and come out here, like so. And I'm just going to, basically it's a tube. Gets cut off right there. Then it starts to go into this spearhead, kind of thing, maybe right in through and in through here, like so. There we go. Maybe kind of around like that, and we'll just tone this in a little bit, hide all that a little bit further, bring that in, and we can just tone this stuff a little bit into as well. So now we can come in and pull out there, actually, and we've got our speeder. I think it's working pretty well. This might be, I might push this out a little further just for effect like that. I think that's working pretty well. All right. So I think what I'll do now is let's put a rider on the speeder, and then what I'm going to do is then I'll decide with the other two that I'm going to do, and I might do those a little off camera to save time. I think once I put the rider on, I think you can get the idea, and then I'll go off camera, and then maybe you can do yours while you're not watching, since you can't watch all of me, and then you can we'll compare which ones you chose to which ones I chose. So I'm going to do 3 total, but not obviously not all of these. I'm just going to do a total of 3, and then we'll just see what happens. How about that? All right, so let's do a rider. I think for this one, I'll do the Empire guys bike, and they have a different kind of helmet, total look, going on, which is kind of cool. And so I'll put this one up. I've got this one up to show you. You can kind of see some of the underneath stuff that goes on too as well. So I'll create an extra layer in my in my drawing here. So let's do that. Let me go out a little bit. And I might have hidden my layers. Let's see if I did or not. And I can't tell. So we'll bring them out if I even used a layer. So let's see. Let's create a new layer here. And this will be for the riders. Or just rider for this one for now. Okay, so I've got that. And let's take a look. Put our layer up. So we have 2. Okay, do we have to have a layer 1? All right, background. So let's see. Yeah, that takes that. Okay, so we have now 3 layers. So layer 1, and then this will be rider. We'll do that. Okay, so and maybe I should do them a different color so we can see as well. Let's give it a shot. Maybe we'll do him in maybe a dark green. No. What do you guys think? Okay, maybe an orangey, dark sepia tone, rusty brown. All right, so there we go. Okay, so that's going to be our rider. So let's put a rider on here and see how we do. Go from there. Okay, so they lean over pretty good, don't they? They have a pretty good lean to them. So that's the first thing I'm thinking about, when I gesture. So we'll get that kind of located, and then we'll start to make them a little bit more palpable. But you know what? Actually, you know what I forgot? I forgot to put on the handlebars, didn't I? So, duh, we got to put that on. So let's do that really quickly, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm using the Cintiq, and I'm actually making a recording and teaching video, so.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, yeah, you need to get in for something?
Just gonna use one of the videos, but other ones.
Oh, you know what, I would use the ones in 335, they're actually even more powerful. You know the code for that? 335, around the corner here, and the code for that is 425.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually even better than these, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back in 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so let's put this rider on. Let's put these handlebars on and cut. So in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, so let's get these handlebars on first before our rider. A rider wouldn't even be able to control any material, would he? All right, so coming along, we'll go in a little bit, and we'll go in deeper, and let's see. There we go. That's probably a good view for you to see. So they hang around here over to the side, don't they? And I got to go back to my black, back in black. Okay, and they come around to the side, kind of in here, the way they hang through, about right in through there is kind of what I see. But you see the same thing. So we'll kind of put a mark there as they kind of come through this 3D kind of thing. And then they come out a little bit and up and forward, don't they? So they come forward a little bit, but then they come back. So they come back pretty good. And I think I'll use maybe even a straight edge for that. So they come out decently high, maybe about right in through here. Okay, like so. And they kind of come up this axle and they stop. So let's find the other side so we can go back to our vanishing point really quickly through here. And we'll kind of gingerly feel on the other side. It would feel like about right up and through there, and then up at the same angle, and then through. Let's see, that would go round and then up forward, and then there we go, back over about right and through there. So in this point, I'll plot back to my vanishing point, right in through there as I sketch it through. Then it starts to get a little bit bigger, rounder at the gears. Right through here. Like so. Okay, and then we're going to come back up a little bit, like so here. for our handlebar in through there. Same kind of angle. And now I'm just going to sketch the kind of positioning as it comes in. This will go back to the left vanishing point. It's about right there, as I see. So I'll make that a little bit, could have made it a little bit lighter, but it's okay. So handle in through here. Okay. And handle in through here. Fun stuff. Right in through there. And then we can have another point coming out, like a throttle that they might be using in perspective, like so. And I think that's about it. And they have some kind of gear that's probably like a brake, some kind of line that kind of connects and goes back through, which is pretty cool stuff. Right in through there. And of course we have our dash over and through there, our seat and through here, right in through. And we'll come across and around. And this should probably come down a little bit further. This goes deeper in. Okay. All right, now I think we can put, now we think we have everything we need to put our Imperial Rider, I believe, on here. So let's get him or her, we don't know actually, do we, on here. So let's go now to our color. Let's go to about right in through there. We'll use that and then see, just see what we can have. So now we're on a rider layer, so I can come in and off of that as need be. So what I think I'll do is I'll start to gesture him out a little bit. We'll get a feel for it, and then I'm thinking about him leaning, kind of slightly leaning over to the left, or actually to the right of the ship, but actually to the left of the composition this way. And I'll take this out in a moment. And then looking at these two over here, and as they're actually going away from us. So there'll be two rebels going away, and he's kind of coming in this direction, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what happened? So that's what my thinking is going to be. So in that sense, so maybe I can erase that out. And so you know what my thinking is, at least through here. There we go. Okay, so let's lay him in. Let's see what I can do. So thinking about a head, maybe in through here. Okay. They kind of have this sort of cool looking, different kind of headgear, like so. This kind of comes down. And we'll get his back. Kind of lean in through here and his butt through. Feel this girth around in through there. It's far easier to put a rider on top of the ship than it would be to put the ship on the rider. So keep that in mind as you're sketching. I see a lot of students do things that are just the opposite, and I thought, oh, that's harder than what maybe you actually have to do. All right, so we'll put our little rider here on there. And, okay, so we've got his kind of buttock position in through here, and they generally have this backpack that goes up, I think, and over. Because I guess they do a lot of camping, I don't know, in through there. And then we'll have, they straddle the outside of the bike, about like right in through here. So I'll go, you can see that brown in through here. We can see that. And we'll come down with our boots. Of course, the other leg would come over like so. This might be a little big. And through there and come over. And the boot would go down. He doesn't need all that pedal, I don't think. So we would come down and through here. Okay, and then we could start to put our shoe and our pedal down in through here, like so. And I'll darken that. Let's go a little bit darker so you can see that. Get that cleared up. And I'm going to leave all that gadgetry underneath so we can just see what we did. Like so, and we could take that layer off if we wanted, just to see what's going on there, just to see his 3D quality. And through here. So we've got that, and feet could be a little bigger. They might start to get a little bit bigger as they get closer to us in our perspective distortion. Like so. Tighten up this around. Of course, he'd disappear in through there. Let's bring the bike back. So we're feeling that pretty good there. This could come around like so. I'll start to darken this in a little bit. Could start to feel that. Okay. And let's get the other side of them. Let me go back a little bit and lighten up that color a little bit. Actually, maybe I'll pick it off. Let's see. Color picker, there we are. Maybe here. Okay. That's going to give me what I wanted. Close. Not quite. A little darker. All right, good. So now we can start to come down with our shoulder, our hand. So shoulder's about right in through here. Arm starts to come down. This would come down, then up and over. And then I'll put his hand and forearm about right in through here. Let's see that coming off that. There we go. So you can see what that kind of looks like. There we go. Okay, just thinking through here, and I'll go a little darker so we can see that a little bit better. A darker brown maybe. There we go. Just get a hold of that through. He's kind of cupping around. Okay, this kind of turns like that. This is also a little darker. So let's see what that looks like. Put that back on. All right, pretty good through there. So he's looking over, so I can't be in profile anymore. That means I can't have that cool looking sort of angled profile. So it's got to be a little flatter. So hopefully you can understand that, because he's looking, his neck is pulled a little bit and he's looking over. It's like, what? I might see a little bit of the profile. Let me clean that up just a little bit for you. Let me go back and clean that up. So I want you to see this. So I can't get all that profile, but maybe just a little of it as he comes over, because he's looking now, kind of turning away from us, but down a little bit to our two rebels escaping, getting away, and they're coming away from him. They just maybe discovered them. There could be a lot of trees in the way too. We haven't even talked about, any of that in the composition. So that's something else that later on you could add to your sketch, your drawing. So we have that. Okay, so let's get the other arm, the right arm, right? Let's get the right arm in there. Get the right color roughly. And let's get it down. So here's what I'm thinking. Actually, I'm going to put the hand here first, and I'll show you this so I can go backwards with it. So I want the hand there, and I'm going to come out of the bike view here, take the bike view off so I can kind of draw through all that information a little bit, and that would come down roughly and back over it. It might look like that. That feels a little bit better. And let's put the bike back on. Yeah, that feels pretty good, doesn't it? Okay, so we have that. And so we're coming down a little bit further. Okay, like so. And I can go a little bit darker now and through here. Maybe right in through there. So you can see it a little bit better through here. And this would open up to where his thumb would come down a little bit and through there. And through this would come back, and of course this would all be in a little bit of shadow right in through there. So we've got that through and on up, and we can put a little attention to detail for now. Why not, right? We've earned a little bit of it, working hard in 3-point perspective. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take off our motorcycle. So even that in perspective gives us a lot of bit of, opportunity to work with. So let's pull out a little bit and we'll see what we're doing, and then we'll put our layer back on with our object. So we're looking pretty good there, I think. So I think at this point, I like the position. I like what we've got going through here. And so I think what we'll do now is we'll start to think about the two Rebel bikes, the two Rebel speeders that we'll work with. Now, my first thought is, let me pull in a little bit in our creation here. So now, hopefully you're getting the idea that throughout all of this, we're being creative with our perspective. We are not being hemmed in or a slave to our perspective, but yet we're using it, we're bending it, and utilizing it to our means. So, this bike in the back, it works pretty well. It may not be exact. I don't care. It fits what I need pretty well so far, and I can take this and really tighten this up later. So just keep that in mind. We are being very as creative as we can be, I think, and not letting it get in the way. So let's go in. So we're thinking about this one here, this form here now as the next one. Now we're going to be looking from the back view first, and then the front view will be going to the vanishing point, or the front will be going to the vanishing point for both of these. So both of these I'll use. They're a little distorted in their leaning, which is great. We give you this steeper perspective, kind of look. So you could do that, or you could do one or two below. It'd be kind of fine, but I think we'll use this one, these two maybe, as our guide. Okay, so let's start to tackle these. Okay, so I'm back, and we're now doing the Rebels, the two ships on this in kind of the center of our screen. So I've added a new layer called the Rebels here, and so we'll work with them. So if we turn the other ones off, you can see that start to disappear, and we come back to all of our layers. Okay, so the challenge is now we've got a 3-point perspective speeder going away from us. We've got two of them actually, and they're going away from us. So the back end is going to be the front, and this front end closest to us is a little bit more of the back. So that's where we're at with our composition. All right, so let's see how we can tackle this. So a couple things I might do is do a centering X to find our center here, just to help me along. So there, and then back to my vertical vanishing point right in through there, then over to my left vanishing point right in through there. So just to get some better placement and perspective, that's going to help me through. I might see through this a little bit, coming through here, and then down this front end here. So the center is probably about right in through there, and so that's going to give me, I'm going to go from there back to this actually it's 1.3 points, so right in through here, so we can come back in through here a little bit with our structure back in through there as well. All right, so the first thing I'm going to look for in this back end, I may make it a little bit smaller than what it is here, just so we can make sure we get enough of the other one in through here. And I'm going to go a little faster too. And I might even edit a little bit where we just come back after I finish this one, and I'll finish the other one off camera so we can save a little time. So you can see one more. It's probably going to be best to keep your interest maybe. All right, so we're looking at now a back 3/4 view in 1.3 point perspective, because the horizontals are true horizontal. There's no vanishing point for our horizontals. So we'll come back this way and over. So that's the kind of the compartment where all the backpacking stuff is kind of in through a little bit more of an angle, a little bit through there. Okay, and these kind of have, over here to the side, they kind of have a flap that is kind of harkens back to motorcycles. And they flap downwards, kind of like that, right? And so they go horizontal through here, and I could bring that over to help me. This goes back to the vanishing point, the center vanishing point, and over for the flap, like so. Okay, and then of course we get a curve down like that, and they come over here, which gives it kind of a sort of a drag, sort of kind of a motorcycle-y little look, doesn't it? And through here, where there could be wheels coming through. And then we'll just put some information in through here, just make it generic, right down in through there. Okay, so we have sort of our back now, and then our side. We're looking at our side, and through as we kind of come through, and this gets a little bit more wider out, maybe in through here a little bit, like so. Okay. All right, and so again, we're getting more tapered in as we go back and through here. So it'll get even smaller as we come through, kind of smaller coming down as we come through there. That'll give that even more of a kind of a final sort of nice finishing off taper look and through here. So the seat part of it is a little bit raised, right about right here, kind of coming over like so. And then of course it goes down a little bit and then back to that vanishing point, so down and then back over. And I'm going to kind of want to find out where it ends. Here's my center roughly right in through here. I'm going to find out where that dash area kind of ends right in through here. I think that's important to see. And I'm going to make this nib a little smaller. There we go. Just to make sure that we'll bump that up a little bit. Make sure we get enough tightening that we need. Okay. So we'll pull this back even a little bit further, actually, so we can see this further. Okay, so it's a challenge, pretty good challenge coming in through these side areas and through here, coming down. I think we'll pull a nice straight line to the vanishing point through there. So this starts to curve, remember, comes down and wants to curve over like so. And this wants to curve down. Here's where it's straight and it kind of curves this way. This would curve over and it'd meet up and around and over and back through kind of that way. There we go. You can start to see that in through there. And this kind of becomes that little mouth area we talked about a little bit earlier, right in through there. So this, right in through here, it's kind of contour, right? You see that kind of contouring down and on through, like so. Then we have it straighten out a little bit into here for some detail, right in through there. I'm going to work this dash area now a little bit further. Maybe this goes across nicely here, like so, and then deep into it could be along here, and then maybe even downward to there a little bit. And so this dash could get just a little covered. Remember, there are gadgets that hang off here a little bit up. Should go a little bit smaller with my nib. And that goes down to the vertical vanishing point here and here, maybe like so, little gears and things that come out like so there. So we've got a kind of a turbo engine sort of kind of right in through here a little bit. We might see one kind of coming back a little bit this way. They're not terribly big, but we'll see. We'll see one like that, and there's an ellipse we can see here. Like so. Going back in that direction. Now we see those, so let's pull out just a little bit. And we start to see those side and we'll pull back in. Those side structures, those guides that come out of that mouth a little bit, and that give us that structuring. It's going to draw pretty deep through here. It's going to diminish pretty quickly. Now, going back on the other side, where would they be? I just draw a line through and kind of feel my way kind of right in through what I'm thinking here. You'll see it emerge in a moment, right in through there, okay? And that'll just take a horizontal line across. I think I'll end it right here, right in through there, where I see them emerge, okay? And so those are just those rounded kind of rod, iron, steel, whatever those are, coming out of that. Okay, then we have that sort of inverted platelet-like structure that comes through. Maybe I'll get a little bit more opacity so we can get a little clearer with that. So that I'll start to show you that. This in through here sort of edges downward like that. Remember that? Kind of comes in, back it over like so. And the other one's on the other side down and through. You don't see much more of it. You might see actually the inside and the bottom platelets. Those kick back over, kind of like so. And you wouldn't see much of the other one. And of course, these would come through, and they're getting diminished as the further they go back. And so we see this one here to there, little center, and then we have a little bit. Maybe that object pops in and goes back, kind of like there. So we have a good approximation of that in our drawing. So let's pull back out, take a look. So we're feeling it pretty good there, I think. Okay, so I think we're almost ready really for a rider, a rebel rider. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to pop back up, and I'm going to push it over a little bit higher so we can see it. See this rider together. It's kind of nice to draw them together. Just so they relate to one another. Now I've got to put the handlebars on, and I've got to put the pedal on too as well. So that's important to see, to make sure that they're working at. One thing I wanted to get, these need to have a creased line right here a little more. Okay, there we go, as they flap downward. All right, so let's get the foot pedals coming out here. It's going to be really a challenge, isn't it, to imagine these. So I'm going to imagine them about right here, horizontally across, right, coming out. And since they're coming down from that for the rider a little bit, maybe we don't go too far out. And they're at an angle, so this is not I'm not using a vanishing point, I'm just guessing that angle. And then back to here, and then maybe through on the other side, kind of like so. And then the foot pedal might be something kind of like that. Now that goes back to the vanishing point right there. So that's the pedal. We won't see it, thankfully, right, on the other side. So this whole front area too might have a little compartment coming out for a pack, like so. And I'll put extra stuff kind of back in through here. So there might be like a roll, a sleeping bag roll, pillow roll, whatever. California roll. No, probably not, but you get the idea. There we go. I'll just tone this in. For now, like so. Okay, all right. So now let's put the handlebars on. And remember, the handlebars come out of this little side. Let me go in a little bit so we can see it. Bring it through here so we can bring it on around and make it work for ourselves. So about right in through here. And then the other side, I'll just draw a straight line across and through. Would emerge about right there. So we're going to come up with those handlebars at an angle up a little bit. Right in through here, and then back a little bit, then over, and they would come all the way kind of over, and then feel it downward, and then down towards that, and through here. And so they get a little bit thicker and through here. Just a couple of, basically just a few lines that are angled that work for me, that tell me, where the handlebars are at, so my rider can grab it. So that's going to be challenging to put this rider on here. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go into layer and create new, and I'm going to call it Rebel Rider. Rebel Rider. So that's my next new layer, and we'll use that layer to put this rider on, and we'll change it, make it a different color so we can see it a little bit more. We'll go back to maybe that sepia tone so we can work with that a little bit. Okay, and then let's see if we're up to the challenge. So we're looking back behind now from the speeder, so we're going to see mostly of the back, and that figure is going to get pretty diminished pretty quickly. One thing I can do, yeah, I mean, we could see probably a little bit of the seat, so I better put that in now looking at it. So I'll put it in, go back to putting it in darker so you can see that. You want to be able to see this. So it's probably right, sitting down, that seat's probably here to there, right there. There's where that seat is. Here's the upper part of the seat right here, I mean the back right here, and maybe it has a little pillow section for extra padding on the back, right in through there, right to there, and it would come down a little deeper, and then here's where we'd see a little bit of that seat right in through there. So I've got to sit that rider on there, then I've got to put his body on, and then I've got to put his feet on the pedal straddling the bike, and then I've got to have his hands on the handlebar. Hey, no pressure, right? No big deal. All right, so let's go back now. Let's go back to Rebel Rider for our layer, and then let's go to our color right in through there. Okay, so let's see how we can do. Maybe I'll go in a little bit. We want to be able to see them together, so it's going to be a little hard. So I'm going to try to figure out the head quickly. I want to go with my nib a little thicker, maybe about 9 or 10. So I want to get the head, but I want to get that back feeling in there. So where he's sitting in through here and leaning over a little bit. So I'm thinking there is his shoulder about right here, okay? His back coming down and broadening and leaning this way. So now I've got his head, his or her head actually, since they're rebels, right in through here, coming downward. And I may not like that. Actually, I don't like that. I'm going to change that. So let's, first you don't succeed, we'll start again. So I'll erase that out. So it's definitely a challenge. I'm going to have to, I think, increase the size of it. So I did want to see the other biker, but I'm not going to have to be able to see him at the moment. Okay, so let's go back now. So maybe this time I'll start with the head, and let's see. So maybe the head will be here, racing away. I'm going to put a side plane of the head there so I can see it there, and then I'm going to get this shoulder feeling here. Yeah, it's going to, hopefully it'll be a little bit better. Around in through here. You've got to see the buttock just a little bit because he's going to have to straddling this side, right? It's going to be tough. So here, and then we're going to see the leg come out here, like so. This is what I'm seeing. So let's just take the rest of it off. So like so. And so we would come down, then I'll put it back on to put his. So that's what I'm seeing. Put his foot there. Some kind of helmet going on. And then this is his buttocks. I'm just going to think all the way through it, even though I might see it. This helps. See how it helps position everything? Okay. Through here. And let's put it back on a little bit. Okay, let's take it back off. Kind of like that, like so. Okay, and then this back leg. We'd be doing that. Some serious foreshortening. Like so. Doesn't look very comfortable. Now watch this, just to get the leg position. What I'll do is from the heel of the right leg, draw a straight line through horizontal, and that should tell me where the other pedal is. If I had to draw that all the way through, it would look, this might go in a little bit, in, and this might look something like this. Well, he's holding on the pedal. No, he's not turning down, is he? Okay, so that would mean the heel. Okay, so let's go back to eraser. We'll erase that out. So now I see what mistake I made. So that means that this would come down like so. And that would be the heel there. And that might be up, shooting up like that. So that's a lot of thinking. That's tough. Tough drawing right in through there. That's hard thinking. Here we go. Like so. Square that off, make it look even more geometric. So let's put the bike back on him. So there we go. Now he's racing on the bike a little bit. We have our rider. Now I can make him, I'll finish him out with the hands, and I'll make him a little bit darker so we can see him, maybe gray him up a little bit. So we've got our rider there. And we've got our color. So his hand is up clear close to the handlebar, isn't it? So let's go back for a moment and grab that. So let's see. So let's think what I'm doing here. All right, so down and over. Here's the hand right in through there, cover it over. So the arm comes in. So now I'm going to take that off. So here, so we've got foreshortening. This comes down. That might rest on the knee a little bit, and then this comes over, and that gets taken like so. And you really wouldn't see the other one, maybe just the hand about right there, mercifully. All right, catch a break just a little bit. Sometimes you see a little bit more of the buttock on this side than over. So it looks pretty good. It's a pretty tough straddle. It's not a very comfortable ride, I don't think. You want to do that forever. So let me outline this a little darker in black. And I'll go a little bit more opacity so we can all see this together. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We don't see this part that much, but that's okay. Here's our center. Right through there, our butt coming through. There we go. Helmet. They're all green and camouflaged. More. Should be hanging on kind of like that. Here we go. And coming through here to the heel, to the boot. Over. Okay, so let's put him back on, and there we go. We can kind of see him now. I think what I'll do is also maybe make them all gray. So let's do this. Let's take this here, and let's take the opacity down. And let's bump up our nib a little bit. Let's see, and let's just put them on kind of a middle, little light gray. So maybe we can see him a little better. Him or her, whomever. Here we go. Okay. On our speeder getting away. got that. And then maybe put a few white highlights just for effect here. See what we can do here. There we go. Bring him out a little bit. Or her, sorry. Sorry, ladies. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's pull this out. See what we have. Okay, so now we have our speeder, our next speeder, going away from our rebel, or excuse me, one of our rebels going away from our Imperial speeder. Okay, so let's pull out even further and see what we've got. So that's pretty hard drawing. That's a lot of thinking, but it works in perspective. It starts to feel like it's got the volume and the view that we're looking for. I think one thing I'll show you here before I'll finish the one to the left off camera and then bring it back, since you know what to do. And I want you to see all three together. But I think what I will have you take a look at really quickly is what we can do with the ground and the trees a little bit. So let's do this. Let's go back to brush and let's take a different color, maybe like a dark but a green. Maybe make it a little, slightly green, maybe yellow green, a little bit in through here. Yeah, that would be fine. And let's sketch out maybe a couple of trees so that you could kind of see this in a little bit better light all together. So let's build another layer. Let's say layer new, and let's say tree or trees. Let's say trees. We'll do that. Okay, so we'll go into trees and stay on trees a little bit. And let's take a look and see what we can do with that. So remember that the trees are growing from the ground, and so the vertical vanishing point way down here, right, way on down in through here. I'll put a little arrow. Don't forget it. It's your best, one of your good friends, right? It's right there. There it is down there, and so we're going to that when we build up our trees a little bit. So I better pull out a little further so you can see that. All right, and so maybe there's a tree almost in the way. So maybe the bottom of the tree would start, maybe almost down below where the little cockpit is, or the little dashboard. So it's right in through there. So I'll show you what I'm thinking. I'll come up in through here. So I'm going from the vertical vanishing point, and I'm going to go up. Okay, so you can see the green line starting to emerge right in through there. So there's a tree. So it might be a little bit in the way. He's almost trying to look beyond the tree a little bit. And then the other one is coming out of the vertical vanishing point. Remember that. So we're close to the ground, but these trees are so big that we're kind of at the base. So this might end. And let me go in a little bit now. Whoops. Let me go in, not out. And so these might come down branch-wise and start to end about right in through here in our composition. So these might come up a little bit more organically. And so I'm just kind of feeling my way through the vertical vanishing point and through here. So there's a tree in the way now. We've got a tree over through here as it works its way through. So this rebel is coming around that tree a little bit. So let's put maybe another tree over here. So let's pull out a bit so we can use our vertical vanishing point. Maybe there's another tree over here, slightly back a little bit, so it's a little smaller. It comes way on out and up like so. So do you get the idea of what we're doing here? So we have that, And maybe we'll put in, you know, some more kind of tree barky looking lines a little bit, and maybe make it look a little bit more organic, like so. And maybe there's another one over here. Okay, so it's going to get tilted because we're in 3-point. We're getting more distortion, and we're getting outside the cone, so this can come up even further and through here, way on up, and through. So this comes on through in there, so they're kind of getting away. So let me take a little bit of that green tone, and we'll take down the opacity, and I can make you see it a little bit better. Let's do this. Yeah, it's better. Okay, and we'll just tone this in a little bit so you can see what's going on a little bit better, right? So there's our viewpoint here. There we go. One here. Put a little value on it. One in through here. And one in through. So remember, our horizon line now is about right. Right in through there. Okay. All right, so let's now put one more Rebel Rider to the left here. Okay, maybe I'll just have you just come along with me. Maybe it'll just be a longer video. You'll just have to suffer through it, live through it a little bit, and see what you think. Okay, so let's go up in a little bit, and then we're going to go over. We're going to pull over through here. Okay, there we go. All right. And so our challenge is going to be not to run these together, so that's going to be interesting. I can show you to help you a little bit to make that workable. And so let's go. I'll pick my dark black in through here. We're ready to go. Go back to our brush. Maybe about 30 with about a 9 or 10 nib. Here we go. Remember, you can do all of this drawing. Just draw right on top. You could use colored pencil, or this could be in graphite. It can be, you know, charcoal, paint. This is actually a paint program, or paint brushes, in Kyle's brushes. So they're, you know, they look like colored pencils, you know, well enough. So that's part of the deal. Okay, so let's do one more, and let's make it look like it's fleeing and escaping successfully. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I'm going to bring it up in our viewpoint a little bit so you can see it. Bring it over and through here. And I might find, again, the centering X for the side here, and here. Take this opacity down. And I could do the same thing. It's hard to see through, but I can see it there and there, the other side, just to see where I'm going, right in through there. And then here's my top center, right in through there, and right in through there. So there's two of them. They're partners. It could be Luke and Leia, and they're escaping, or maybe they're just being discovered. We don't know what the scene is, the ideas yet, but you could create something. And then, you know, it's cool to have something also in mind too as well. All right, so let's create the back. So now I have kind of have one to go off of. It's a little bit easier, and we'll kind of put it all. We'll put it all together. Okay. So I'll do this on Rebels. Back on the Rebels layer. There, I think that was partially on trees. Okay, so here we go. Through here, and so. Let's bring this back. Pull this layer down. So let's start to sketch out here. Working with our perspective. I may keep it make it a little bit smaller. Bring it in a little bit, show you that, so they won't hit. They're not going to be touching. That's going to be enough space in between, right Here's where it goes back here. Something like that, and this will come in a little bit, so I'll make a stronger line back to my vanishing point, running through there, okay, and over. That might need to be a little shorter. All right, so we have now that hub in through here, this kind of thicker, larger thing that comes out. The chassis in through here, like so. This one's a little bit bigger, a little closer to us than the other one. Not by a whole lot, but it is a little bit bigger, so it comes down kind of in through here. So we're drawing through there. And then remember these little hatches come off, so we go back to our vanishing point. I'll make them nice and long since we're in perspective. This would be straight across. Remember that? Okay, like so. This goes back to our vanishing point like so. There we go. Okay. And then we have our turn. This would turn in kind of like so, then over. Look how long that would get. It's going to get really, really long and distorted pretty quick. What's great about these viewpoints, you could do some cool things. And if you don't like the distortion, if you hang with me and work with me through formal perspective, I'll show you how you can reduce the cone to 30 degrees. And it's how we see a little bit cleaner and clearer because we have such single vision. I'll talk about that in formal perspective, is how we see, and we see the same way we do as perspective, just that most of the time when we use perspective, and I'm guilty of this, is that we show lots of distortion instead of showing what we truly see. Perspective is a very accurate way to portray the representational world. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. They probably don't know enough about it or have gotten to the right people to help them study it to work on that. So be careful when people talk about that. So I'm going to bump up my brush, but I'll go into that in formal perspective. And it's important to know that it's an accurate, very accurate portrayal of the world, but there's some things to know how to control it. Otherwise, you get a lot of distortion. Now, we're getting that distortion, but I want it. I want you to see the 3-point kind of distortion. See how that's going back. Now, I'm going to shorten up the front end of it, which is receding away from us, because that's a little too long. That would be too distorted. It's probably about right here. That's how I see it, about right there. That's where that feels a little bit better. Hopefully you'll see that, where that can end. So I'm going to end it there a little bit as we go back in space. Okay. All right, so we got that working for us. So let's go out a little bit now, and so we'll just kind of add what is going on with the other one a little bit further. Okay, so we'll bring this across nice and horizontal because we're in 1.3 point. Right in through there. And this is where knapsacks and where there we go. Think and talk. Where sleeping bags go to, so that goes back a little bit. This kind of raises up. Stuff gets maybe stored in through here. I don't know. And there's might be a backpack on top and through here again, like the other ones. Okay, here we go. Something like that. Very organic in through here. Okay, so now the seat raises up. We have that raised, seat coming up in 3-point from the vertical, and then over, nice true horizontal, and back over. So we have that seat coming up through like that. Okay. And then we come back a little bit. It's angled in through, angled down in and over, and then we have the dashboard about right here. Maybe in a little bit. It's going to start to get smaller since we're coming back and in. Here's our center. And that's where that would go back to the vanishing point, right in through there. You don't see a whole lot more through there. I probably won't get too much more detailed than that. So maybe the end of that through here. This might curve around even further. So we're getting really sketchy with it. Down through. put that in a little bit of tone, just to carry that over. Differentiate the two a little bit to help you see it. There we go. Okay, so now we can come back, make my nib a little smaller. There we go. Run through. And those little compartments that come out for the long guns, etc., would be probably about right in through here. And again, I'm just applying and guessing and having a lot of fun with it. And so we've got that. We really won't see our foot pedal. Hallelujah. So that's something that'll be a little easier through here. Okay. And then we do see our handlebars a little bit. They would come up and over probably like this, and then directly over and then down. So I can make them a little darker where I need to, right there and right there. So there's where we're at, right in through there. Okay, and now I can work my rider. So I'll add one more layer. I'll add Rebel Rider. No, I'll just go to next, the other Rebel Rider, right in through there. Trees come out. Okay, cool. And so we'll go back to our sepia type brown tone. Let's see, I can pick this off maybe close to there. Okay, let's go a little bit darker so we can see it. And then we'll pull in a little bit. So we got a challenge. So see if we're up to the challenge. If not, we can erase it. So let's work these two together a little bit. So this one's going to be a touch bigger. So the head, I'm feeling, if I get a flow of this gesture, so I'm just going to gesture this thing out. I am always doing the gesture, but sometimes I just don't show it, but it's always in my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, hunched over. I'm thinking maybe this way, head up a little bit, like so, head, top of the head in through here. Maybe leaning down a little bit, cranial part coming in, okay, like so. Chin would be there. We might not see the chin. Chin might be there. Maybe a little bit big. Let's pull out. You can take a look. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, actually. So let's pull back through here, shoulder, and we'll come over and down. Here's the center of the head. Center of the back coming through. To me, this is the fun part. Probably the hardest part, but it's the fun part. Then we could let's take that off. How we're doing? It looks pretty wild, huh? Okay. Looks like it's painful for the other guy. All right, so coming down with our side plane, our form in through here. So he would come out, his leg would start to come out probably lower, and then back and down like so. So let's pull that out. So I'm seeing that. This would be down and over through here like so. So here's his buttock. Here's where the buttock splits, the crack of the buttocks. The old buttock crackus through here. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of his leg coming on over and then down through. Okay, and that's probably all we need. So let's go back to that. Okay, so now I'm going to put his hand in through here. He's knuckling it here. Wrist has got to be there. So see how you can, whoops, wrong one. So see how you can, let's see, take that, there we go. So see how you can start in one at the end of something and work your way through it on the opposite end. So I've got to get from here to the elbow and then back over and around. So kind of like this, okay, right in through there's the elbow, and forearm over. It's a little bit long. That's okay, no big deal. Might shorten that just a little, right in through there. Okay. Essentially, that's just a volumetric figure. I've talked about that in other lessons with the figure. So this is kind of like a helmet that goes on in through here, and then we'll make a little mask protrusion out that way and over and downwards. I think we're on our way. And the other hand might be in through, let's see, let's bring this back over. Put this other hand over here. And we're good to go. Now let's darken him in a little bit. And we can kind of see him more in our composition. So we'll darken him in. Go through. Take it really fast. Okay. Don't need any more than that for the bottom. There. Okay. Coming up and over. There we go. Make that work out a little bit better. White knuckling it through, kind of a C shape to hold onto the handlebar there. Let's see if I can make this a little cleaner. And through, and then there's kind of a mask thing that comes down. They wear like this kind of helmet, sort of. Okay, so we can come through. Rider in through here. All right. Maybe we'll give them a little tone as well. Okay, and then we'll take the opacity down a little bit. Bring our brush up. We're almost home. Too much. Okay. So make him all gray mostly. There we go, in through there. Put another pass on him. Okay, so let's add him back into the fray. There we go. Let's lighten that up a little bit in some areas that we want. Let's go. We'll just paint opaquely. Oops, but not that big. Okay, take it back a little bit. Just bring him out a little bit. All right, keep it simple. Nothing special. Don't need a whole lot of detail. Here we go. I think we'll be able to see through there, through that. All right, so let's pull out and see what we did. Okay, we've got our riders in through here. Now what I'll do is I'll tighten up a little bit this speeder here. I think looking at our two riders, if I had to do this all over again, I would probably make one of the two a little bit bigger. I'd probably make the speeder to the rider to the right just a little bit bigger, just to pull it off a little bit better, but I think it's good enough for a demo for now. Okay, and through here, so let's go a little darker in through here so we can see some of this. You can see this sketch a little bit better. These demos, you don't have to be, not looking necessarily to be perfect, but I want to give you a sense of how we put it all together, and then you could make tons of mistakes and then put it back how you need it. It's no big deal. And you could make it your own and alter and change all the time. Always constantly altering. Okay, all right. So let's pull out here and take a look at our final. I think we've got what I'm looking for. Maybe I'll add one or two more trees. So let's go to the green here to there. Maybe a little bit deeper. And let's see what we can do with some trees coming up. And we'll put another tree maybe coming up out of the vertical, remember, over here somewhere. Nice and thick. Running through maybe there, up and up from the vertical vanishing point. Look how far that came. And so actually I think I'll take that back a bit. So I don't want to show this bottom one in through here. So maybe up in through here a little bit. And this can have more tree-like looking stuff. Maybe there's a branch starting over through here. Maybe there's a branch, starting a couple of branches starting in through here. And so we can really start to get that sense of, where they're kind of at in a composition as well. I think that actually gives you a better, hopefully even a better idea of what the possibilities are through our sketch or composition. Okay, all right. Okay, so there you go. It was pretty long-winded, but it was pretty involved, and it's a good deal of work. But putting it all together with three-point perspective, you can make some really interesting points of view, interesting dynamic kind of quality of expressions. And even with this one, we could even put more riders even down below. We could have done that too as well to have our view be even more steep. I think it would have been a little bit more difficult for now, but we'll get that in another composition. So there you go, three-point perspective. We're at bird's eye view, looking down on. Remember, we're altering our eye, so our eye is off the horizon line. Looking down at our figures. So, and using perspective structure, and then adding more complex sketching on top of it in an intuitive way. If you can do that, you can. That's about your 85% there of what you maybe want to know about perspective. And then if you want to go in even deeper, if you use perspective further, it's just a quintessential, time-honored, true, proven structural component for Western art that gives us the kind of realism that we have desired. Okay, see you later. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.